comes to an independent artist because you need to find your fans.
Okay.
Right? Your real fans. When I say that, I see a lot of independent artists when they first start moving, and I did this myself too.
Mm-hmm.
We start putting out music early in our careers, and we have this idea that our current followers or our current friends or our family are the ones that will become our fans. But I can tell you right now that's not the case.
What? Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of No Right Answers. Today I have a guest. His name is Jantu.
What's up, Dave? What's up, Dave?
The way I connected with him was actually through Remy on episode 2. I went to this underground Atlanta event. He was performing, and then we just started talking afterwards. And I invited him on the podcast. He was down, so I'm very glad to have him on as a guest. But I'm gonna just let him introduce himself so you guys get to know him a little bit better.
Rock on. My name is, like you said, Jantu. I like to go by Jantu Rockstar. That's how you can find me on Instagram. At the core of everything that I do, I'm an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And my mission is just to figure out the game and figure out how to get the pieces right to elevate independent artists around the city.
Okay.
So that's kind of the mission I'm on right now.
Okay, so that's like a perfect segue because I saw like an Instagram post recently. It was something about like a 10-15 minute spot for like $300, and you were like you're kind of bashing on them on like people taking advantage of like smaller artists.
Yeah.
Can you kind of like explore that a little bit?
Yeah. So to kind of give you an idea of that struggle,
Mm-hmm.
I ran into that because I'm an independent artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm trying to grow and showcase my work around my own city, which is Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
I find that there's a lot of showcases around town that want to put on independent artists, but they all want some sort of pay to put on performances.
Like would you say they're kind of like taking advantage of like their desperation to like get their name out there and like putting that high ticket on?
For sure, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing the guys that are out there doing it. Everybody's trying to figure out a model to make money at the end of the day for their platform, right? Everybody's growing. A lot of the people that do it are actually like grassroots organizations and platforms that are doing it. But from the artist perspective, we're already spending so much money on studio time, working with producers, spending so much money on mixing, mastering, and then marketing, which is a big cost. And I feel like when you're asking an artist to perform for free and you're making money at the end of the day, the artist deserves a cut of that at the end of the day. And that's just something I hold a firm belief to, because we're out there working and putting out our product, and you're using it to fill your lobbies and your venues. And yeah, I just think an artist deserves a piece of that, no matter how big or small.
I think that will also like create like better relations with like the artists, and like they don't feel like they're getting gypped. Like they will actually want to keep performing at those events.
Right. And that's something I like to provide as I'm growing my platform. Like I said, at the root of it all, I'm an artist. So as I'm growing this platform, I'm being very mindful of what an artist needs, especially when they're in the mud, to kind of bloom out of there,
And that's like the hardest part, right?
Right.
Like, it's like this big hill, but once you kind of get over it, like the momentum is going.
Yeah.
But so I know you like are an artist at heart, but this is a question I had like personally. What is like Noisy Future? Is that like
Noisy Future is kind of the outcome of me being an artist, and then everything I applied to get to where I am right now. Like I said, early on in the game, I was myself paying to get put on stages. I spent a lot of my time in 2022 doing performances. I did a performance every month, at least one every month.
Wow. Was that like the first time you were performing, like consistently?
Yeah. This was literally over the last year. I was really blooming as an artist when it comes to stage performance.
Oh, that's lit.
Came in nervous, but I love it now. But to get back to your question, Noisy Future is a platform that's an outcome of me seeing a need for artists in Atlanta, independent artists in Atlanta, that needed a platform to really showcase their work without too many of the obstacles in the way in regards to like um, knowing all the right people in regards to needing to be, trying to word it correctly, just trying to create a platform that serves the needs of the artist versus the middleman that's always trying to
like get their cut.
Get their cut.
Okay, I see. So like your mission statement is kind of like giving these like unknown artists, these artists that are trying to like be on the come up,
right,
like a platform to like perform in front of like other people and like on stages. That's like your main goal.
And I spent a lot of time learning how to market and target the right audience. Marketing is a big part of the game when it comes to an independent artist because you need to find your fans.
Okay.
Right, your real fans. When I say that, I see a lot of independent artists when they first start moving, and I did this myself too. We start putting out music early in our careers, and we have this idea that our current followers or our current friends or our family are the ones that will become our fans. But I can tell you right now that's not the case.
What makes you say that?
Because from my experience so far in putting out my music and evolving between when I first started taking this real seriously about like 5, 6 years ago to now, I realized that the majority of my fan base and the people that are willing to support me are strangers. Like these are people that never met me in a day in my life, never shook my hand, but they found me because I literally went out there and grabbed their attention by doing things like doing digital marketing, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, where it's showcasing my music to people that have similar interests in regards to the type of music that I'm making, right? And then a lot of the other fans, like, I don't know if you'd call yourself a fan yet, but I met you through a show, right? You didn't know me before you popped up at my show. How did you get there? It's because I targeted people like Remy. Remy wasn't per se a fan of my music. I didn't really meet him on any level except for as a realtor. He was my realtor at some point. But even Remy, I know when I first started making my music and putting it out, for example, didn't like my music. And that's okay. That's totally okay because he doesn't have to be my fan. There's someone else out there, for example.
Have that abundance mindset.
Right,
okay,
right.
I fuck with it.
Yeah, and you never know who's gonna be your fan. And it could be a fan for different reasons, right? I'm gonna take an example of an artist that I really love. Not per se for his music, but for his work ethic. Russ, you've heard of Russ,
I know
right?
Russ,
Yeah, Russ is one of those stories, you know, also started as an independent artist and now he's at, you know, the top of his own game. I'm not the biggest fan of his music, but I am a hardcore fan of his work ethic and his hustle.
Like what he kind of like took the game, or what's it called? Like, what I'm trying to say is like he switched the game. Like he went like a complete different route. He didn't really like sign with a label. He like he's making his own music, his own like beats as well.
Right.
So like I think that kind of like you like for yourself, like as an independent artist, I feel like that's very inspiring. Like, oh, he did that and he's at that level.
Right,
Shit,
and
like,
that's why I'm such a big fan of his.
Okay.
Again, it may not always be because of his music. Don't get me wrong, there's some of his tracks that I love, and I still bump to this day, and I probably will forever. But I'm a big fan of his because of the work.
Yeah, that's respectable.
And kind of like the guide and blueprint he set out for other artists. Because I remember going to one of his shows way back in the day before he popped.
Really?
And it was only like 10 people in the crowd, and he was throwing out letters. I mean, this is way back in the day. I want to say almost 10 years ago. But now you look at that same artist, you know, I watched him in Atlanta in an empty venue pretty much do his thing, and now he's doing it for millions of people. It's like, that lets me know that it's doable, right? Nothing's like out of reach if you really push yourself and you're consistent with it. That's what I learned from that.
That kind of reminds me, I don't know if you ever heard this story, but like in the I think it was the Olympics, people were trying to beat like the 4 minute mile,
Yeah.
and then people thought it was like humanly impossible until like one day this guy he does it, and then after he completes it, after he's able to break that 4 minute mile, like other people all around the world start doing it as well. And I think it's like that barrier of like this is impossible. There's no way someone could do it, and once someone actually achieves it and they see it can be done, it's humanly possible. Like other people start to like have that self belief. So I think it's a little similar to that whole wrestling.
Right. And you know, I take that mentality and I apply it to my own game. Like I said, when I first started, I was paying people to put me on, right? Put me on a stage, put me in front of a crowd.
But now you're getting paid.
Kinda. This year, hopefully will be fruitful. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm working on getting sponsorship and figuring out the money game, the business
side of being an artist. Okay.
Right. The business side of being an artist is where all the money is made, in my belief, right?
Wait, say that one more time for me?
The business side is where all the money is made, right? I say that because there's plenty of great artists in Atlanta, man. I've been running into so many independent artists, people that are just coming out of the woodwork, and their music sounds so polished, man. I can name 10 people off the top of my head right now that I truly believe will be GOATs once the world finds them.
When they catch up.
Right, when they catch up. And those are the people that I'm really trying to connect with, because I believe in playing on your level and elevating with those people. Noisy Future wouldn't work if it was just me, if it was just the Jantu show. But going back to what I said earlier, I was paying people to put me on, and one day I decided, you know, screw that. I'm gonna put myself on. I'm gonna take the risk, take some money out of my pocket, find a venue, find all the pieces that I need to put on a show, which includes sound engineers, which includes all the other artists that I want on a lineup with me. If I'm being honest, Noisy Future started as the Jantu show. I wanted to put on a show with my friends that I believe in. And that's what the first Noisy Future was. I gathered all the talent in regards to the artists that I wanted to be on a set list with me. I gathered all the team members that I would need to run the show properly. And I'm very grateful and blessed that I have those people in my life when it comes to all those resources. But Noisy Future was born out of the decision to start putting myself on. And what I realized is when I did that, I'm also bringing light to other artists. And I noticed that my network started like, when I looked at my phone right now, there's someone trying to tap in, trying to get on to the next Noisy Future show.
Wow.
So now I'm in this phase of running this that sometimes I hate my job. In regards
feels more like a job than like passion?
No, the passion keeps me going.
Okay.
When I say that I hate certain parts of the job is, they're great artists, but they're not always the greatest business person or like manager. When I say that, I'm not gonna do any name calling, but I pay attention to things like people who show up on time, like show up for sound check, make sure that they're there for their set time. I've done shows where someone's set time is 8 o'clock and they didn't end up showing up till 9 o'clock, right? And that happened once, and I was like, damn, you know what? That sucked, oh well. But then they ended up hitting me up again to do it for the next show, and I was like, man, I really want to say no, but I'm the kind of person that has a hard time saying no. Like, it's just not built into me, but what I'm realizing is I have to start doing things that I don't necessarily like, because I put that same artist back on and they pull the same things all over again, right? That's the whole fool me once situation. Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, shame on me for falling for it. And what that made me realize is there's a lot of parts of the job that I may not like, but I have to do in order to grow. And yeah, that's just part of the game for me right now.
But I feel like that's like kind of like the fun part, because once you like face these challenges, it's like it's either you like fail and you fall, or you overcome them and you keep growing and you keep learning.
Right.
So I feel like every time you like are facing these problems, I feel like it can come off negative in the moment, but I'm pretty sure like retrospective, you're like, okay.
You live and you learn, right?
Exactly.
You live and you learn. I'm getting better at understanding that just because you're a homie, I can't put you on. That's so tough. That's so tough because at the end of the day, my personality is the type of person that's like, I want to put everyone on.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, I guess you have to sit back and create a degree of separation from the friend and the person that's trying to achieve something for a community, right? Unfortunate as it is, as much as I want to take everyone to the top, I can only handle so much. And yeah, it just is what it is. And I try to say this to everyone that I talk to, there's no hard feelings. This is just
business.
It's business.
I feel like, no, I agree, man. It's like these people that, you know, didn't really support you like 100% when you first started out. Now they see you, you know, like stepping it up. Now they want to like be a part of it.
But you know what? That goes all back to that Russ conversation. I'm not mad at them. I don't want to force anyone to like my music. If you don't like my music, you don't like it. That's that, right? Okay. It's not your taste. There's always someone else that would enjoy it, right? It's not up to me to force you to like it. But the people that are starting to pay attention to me now isn't because of per se my music. It's because of the work I'm doing around it. Okay. The creating of a platform for community.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That I noticed that's catching a lot of attention. But the bright side of it, that me being an artist, is people see that and then they start to enjoy the music for some reason.
That's just a bonus.
Right. It's a bonus.
Okay.
But again, I find that I have people gravitating towards me either. It's not always for both reasons. It's one or the other sometimes. Okay. Yeah.
I do want to kind of. So I was listening to your music, and I was trying to like categorize it.
It's difficult.
Right. No, exactly. Which I like. You know, it's different. It's new.
Yeah.
But like, I would say it's kind of like rock, like kind of alternative. And I know you recently dropped like a remix. I like that song. The
Vacation. Yeah.
It's like a mix of like rock and EDM, and I was like, that's new. That's different.
Yeah, Chase Banks, he's like traveling the world for work right now. I love traveling, so I'm kind of like, man, I wish I was out there living with you. But he reached out to me. Me and him did a show with a platform called Chillerpalooza. I worked on that one before Noisy Future. I was working with a different partner. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. That helped me like break out of my box and kind of figure out how to run the game when it came to Noisy Future. But going back to that, Chase Banks was someone I met and I saw him perform live and I just loved his energy as a person and as an artist.
Does he only do like EDM or does he do like?
He's really into electronic. I wouldn't always categorize him into the EDM box because he's also very experimental with his sound. I'll share his work with you after we get off of this, but you'll see what I mean. He's kind of similar to me where he approaches music in a way where he's not boxing himself up. And I try to do the same thing. Like you were saying, you heard elements of like hip hop, you heard elements of alternative and rock. It's because I grew up in my first little bit of my life in New York, but the majority of it was in Atlanta. And I hung out with a lot of different people, kind of like a melting pot. And I was always influenced by the people around me in regards to like the kind of music I'm listening to. So I got into like old school rock, like Guns N' Roses. Like that was the first song I learned how to play on guitar, Knocking on Heaven's Door. And then I also listened to T.I. One of my favorite songs by T.I. is Rubber Band Man, Wild as a Taliban, 9 on my left, right? And then I started going to festivals, like you were talking about before we started. I started going to EDC, I started going to Tomorrow World and all these other festivals. And I started getting into Tomorrow World? I've been around, man. I just turned 30 and I had a lot of fun in my 20s. So, but what I'm saying is I have so many influences and kinds of music that I like. So all that comes back. When I'm in the studio, like when I'm listening, whether I'm producing it or someone else is producing the song, just kind of catch the vibe of the song, and if I feel like I can express myself better if I'm singing in like the genre of rock, or I'm rapping in hip hop if I want to show off like more masculinity, or it's not like I'm picking the genre that I want to be in. I'm letting it kind of pick me based on my life experiences and the influences I have on myself, right?
Okay.
So like, if I keep going into it, I love rock, like I said, Guns N' Roses, old school. I listen to Panic at the Disco. I listen to Screamo, man. I had a Screamo phase when I was listening to like metal and just like bands like Silverstein and Rage Against the Machine, and there's just so much. And I also love R&B. It's just kind of like, how do I make myself just stick to one genre? I'd rather just be open to,
like, absorb all of it and like kind of create your own.
right, and that's what comes out of it. Like if you listen to
that's
some
so
of my
interesting.
songs, my last album has elements of like hip hop, R&B, rock, electronic, like everything. It feels like, and when I go to submit my music to distributors and they ask you what genre should we put you in,
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, when you ask me to put myself in a box, I have no clue what to put myself in.
That's actually like that's crazy. Like.
Right. So lately, what I just do is I put myself in the alternative and the hip hop box.
Okay.
But if I could, I would just check off all of them. But I don't know. But the thing is, I see a lot of artists allowing that freedom of creativity to happen.
You think this is like a new wave?
I think the traditional way of blowing up as an artist is creating music for a certain like
Genre?
base,
Okay.
right? Say you were an artist back in the day and you put out 100 songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one song blew up, caught the attention of some ears. What would happen is a label would pick you up based on that song, and they would tell you, we want an album or 3 albums, whatever your contract is, and we want
like that style.
it to be that style.
Okay.
And that's why when you listen to like older albums and music from back in the day, they're really sticking to one genre, one box, one style. But lately, I've noticed, and even the industry's taking notice, that that's changing. Like a big example of a notable artist is Juice WRLD.
Mm-hmm.
Juice WRLD sounds like a rock star, but he has elements of hip hop. He has elements of electronic. He's worked with people like Marshmello, who's in the electronic scene. And I think the world is definitely more open to that freedom of expression, being able to change lanes, switch up lanes whenever you want.
I mean, that's kind of like what Drake and like Beyonce did, like with like EDM.
Right.
Kinda.
So it's there. Even the big industry notices it, and I think that gives independent artists the go ahead to be like, yeah, it's okay.
Like to like truly fully express
Right.
themselves.
And do you think that this is a question from me to you? But do you think Drake and the Beyoncés, like you're saying, inspired people to do that, or do you think they were paying attention to underground and independent culture and noticing that that's what's happening?
Okay.
Right?
I definitely don't think like they're the masterminds of like this whole like new movement. I definitely think they're trying to. They saw like the wave and like they kind of like, cause they have a really big following.
Right.
And they use their own influence to like really like set it in motion. So I don't think they're like, yo, let's change the game, let's like switch up our whole style. They saw like other people like, yo, like they do hip hop, but they also do like, I don't know, R&B, and like they're able to like switch. Maybe we should like.
It's the whole chicken and the egg conversation, right? Which one came first? Was it the independents that are influencing the big guys, or the big guys that are influencing the little ones? I'm a firm believer that the independents are really influencing the game now.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll have enough power to like change how labels
interact with them and like sign them up, how they do their contracts and
yeah,
whatnot?
instead of like just like you have to make rap music.
People are definitely getting smarter. Like Dolph, R.I.P. Right? He was an independent artist. There's a lot of people that are starting to do partnership deals now versus like the traditional deals that an artist would get. Like
What do you mean by partnership deals?
So, in the old industry, when a big label comes at you like Sony or, you know, whoever else, they'll usually take the rights to your masters. When I say that, say I put a song out, right? And I own 100% of it, right? And when a big label comes, what they do is they buy your master and they own, you know, they can be pretty like vicious, up to 90%, and you keep 10% of it. And that's kind of like how old contracts were built from a high level. Now artists are starting to get smarter, realizing that they can have those conversations to say, no, you don't own 90%, I own 90%, and you own 10%.
Okay, shit.
And labels, big labels are also starting to notice that artists are getting smarter and understanding that if I want to be successful in the long run, I need to own my catalog. Bad Bunny, for example, has currently the best contract on the face of the planet when it comes to being signed to a big label. I think you're gonna have to fact check me, but he's one of those people that owns, I think, 90 or like 90% of all his music.
He's like one of the first people to like do that?
Yeah, there's some other people out there that have generous deals like that, but last I read and checked in on, he has one of the best deals like that.
What's giving the artist the power, like
technology? Because back in the day, you couldn't just go to distrokid.com. You couldn't just go to free platforms like Amuse to distribute your music for free. I'm putting you on game there. There's distribution platforms that'll do it for free. And that's Amuse if you don't have the budget to kind of start that just yet. And then there's CD Baby. There's a bunch of distribution companies out there, and what that does is, me as an artist, after I have my song, I just go to a computer, type in distrokid.com or CD Baby, whatever distributor you want to use, and I click upload my music. And it goes straight to Spotify, Apple Music, all the big boys, right? There's hundreds of music platforms out there. Like China has its own music platforms, yada yada, but they do the heavy lifting of getting all the music out there, right? That's something that the label used to handle because those tools weren't out there before. And that's how they got leverage, right? And then what does an artist have to do after you put out music to be successful, right? If I just take a product and I put it on the shelf, right? Let's just talk about something at Walmart. No one will know what it is unless you saw an ad or someone filled you in on what it is and that, hey, you can buy that at Walmart, right? So music is the same. When you distribute, what's happening is your music is being put on a shelf, is being put on Spotify's shelf, is being put on Apple Music's shelf, yada yada. The next part of the game is finding your fans. When I was talking about earlier that your friends and family aren't your fans. They aren't the fans that are gonna make you successful because they're not the ones that are gonna spend dollars on you at the end of the day. So what you have to do once you distribute music, and what labels used to do for you, is market it. They would put you on MTV, right?
Like market your music or market yourself as an artist?
Both.
Okay.
Both, like start pushing the brand, right?
Okay.
So a label would distribute your music and then market you. They'll start putting you on MTV, they'll start putting you on radio, they'll start doing all that for you. And your question was, how has the game changed that artists don't have to go through that now? Again, it's technology. I market myself, I market my own music. I go to Meta Ads, which is Facebook. It used to be Facebook Ads, now they're called Meta. But yeah, I go on there, and there's a lot of heavy lifting. I have to create ads, like a commercial. I have to create commercials, put them up there, but I start advertising it. But the thing is, I could do that myself if I really wanted to nowadays, right? I wouldn't need a label to do it for me if I can figure out the budget and do it myself. And then after that, what I really started discovering now is once you figure out the distribution and you figure out how to market to the right fans and you start picking up traction, right? Is the real money isn't in streams. To put it into perspective for you, if you stream my music on Spotify right now one time, guess how much I make?
Less than a cent?
Less than a cent. 0.0003. I would need to, right. my music's been streamed over 1.5 million times. It's been a minute since I checked, right? Over the last 2 years. You would think that would add up to, a nice little penny, right?
Yeah.
But no, but if I put it into perspective, from over 1.5 million streams, I've only brought home like anywhere between 5 to 7K. And that's over the course of like years, right? But that brings me to Noisy Future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elaborate. Alright.
So, as an artist, I distributed my music myself now. Technology has made that very available for me. I advertised it. Now, where's the money at for artists usually? It's live performances and merch sales.
Okay.
Right? So, I saw myself at a point where I hit the ceiling, right?
For streams or?
I hit the ceiling in regards to making income from music.
Okay.
Right? I'm already doing the stream thing. I'm already advertising. Now I'm looking for the next stream of revenue when it comes to an artist making money.
Okay. I didn't even think about it like that, but okay.
I'm living the life. That's the only reason I know. It took me years to get here. So I realized that I have to sell tickets to my shows to make money. And that's how Noisy Future became to be, is I wanted to put myself on. I didn't want to wait on a label or some other person in the game to put me on. I used technology once again to put myself on. What I did was I gathered artists together, I gathered the right team, and then I started advertising that, hey, we're throwing a live underground show. And the way that I made it attractive and different is I'm telling the streets and potential customers and fans that if you want to support the underground and independent artists, this is the platform that's going to do it in Atlanta. And that's kind of how I've been pitching the platform. And yeah, so success as an artist comes by leveraging technology to do it yourself now.
Instead of relying on
others to put you on. And eventually I want people to understand that they could build their own platform. I'm figuring out the game for myself, and I'm happy to say that it's helping others around me.
Like inspiring them?
Yeah, what I really want Noisy Future to do in the long run is I want it to be an independent label where it continues to inspire people and show them that they can do this themselves if they want to. I don't hide anything. You asked me how I got to where I am right now, and I told you all the pieces. I told you the distributors. I told you use meta ads. Like, it's all out there. There's nothing to hide anymore, right? And yeah, to answer that question one more time is use the tools that are available to you now to succeed that weren't before. It's all there now.
Take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I say this a lot, is opportunity will never knock on your door first. You have to knock on its door first, right? You have to catch opportunity's attention first. You have to put the bread on the table, show them everything you're capable of, right? So someday when a label approaches me, right, and I know they will, because I believe in myself, I know where I'm headed, I have goals, and I'm working towards each one of them one day at a time. Eventually I'll grow to the point where a label would want a piece of the pie. But for me, that discussion would become, what can you provide to me that I don't do for myself already?
Damn, bro, that's okay. I fuck with that. I fuck with that heavy.
That's how you have to approach the game. All these artists, like Bad Bunny got that deal because he knew he didn't need them to, right? And you have to understand that. And that comes with everything, man. That comes with the music game, that comes with the podcast game, what you're doing. You just have to, if you can figure out the business and how to manage it and figure out how to create revenue streams and at least break even, you can start growing from there. Noisy Future, I started last year. I put on 2 of them last year. The 3rd iteration was the one you just went to this year.
Oh, that's just really recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna break it down for you. That first Noisy Future, I lost a little over $1,000. But that didn't scare me.
Like that's how much you invested
That's
in?
an investment in my head.
Okay, yeah.
Second Noisy Future, I made negative $200.
Okay, that's better than
right. And this is after paying all the artists, paying the venue, paying all the things that I needed to pay for to make it happen. Did it scare me? A little bit. Nobody likes dollars falling out their pocket, but I understand that, when you invest in stocks, when you invest in a house, you have to wait for its ROI, that return on investment. You have to wait for the streets to start, knowing that you exist and getting notoriety. I'm glad to say that this last Noisy Future, I made a profit. I haven't made my return on investment. I'll be very clear. I only made like $100.
But you're positive.
But I'm positive.
Oh,
I'm positive this year, right? So, and I learned how to make it positive because I put on the first Noisy Future. I noticed like I didn't have merch at the first Noisy Future, right?
Okay.
I was like, and I didn't have a proper doorman to like properly check in tickets, right? And by doing it, I learned how difficult it is.
Like the whole entire process.
Right. I learned all of the mistakes I made by doing it. I'm a very like hands-on learner.
I love that, bro.
I'm a hands-on learner. You can sit there and tell me to read a book or talk to me all day, and it's like in one ear and out the other. But once I start feeling pain from losing money, from all the little things that happen from running a show, running into emotional conflict, you start to learn like how to operate better. And so by going through the first two, learning the mistakes, fixing them along the way, building better relationships with the people that I'm working with, now I hit a profit. And now my next goal for Noisy number 4 is take all those, whatever I did right, make it bigger, push it harder, and then start looking for the other avenues where I can grow. And one of those is, I know you wanted to touch on it, so sponsorship.
Okay.
Noisy number 1 and 2 had no sponsors. It came right out of my pocket. Noisy number 3, I had the privilege of being connected with Topo Chico.
What's that?
Topo Chico is like, they're a drink vendor. They make things like seltzer alcoholic drinks, and then they make mineral water, seltzer mineral water.
Oh, yeah.
I'm new to the game, and when I say they sponsored me, they didn't give me cash sponsorship this time. What they did give me though is product sponsorship. They dropped off a whole bunch of Topo Chico mineral water. They didn't drop off alcohol this time, or cash.
Next time.
But maybe next time.
Yeah.
And what I did in exchange for them for giving me that sponsorship is I gave away their drink for free. Water. Everybody got water for free.
Oh, they didn't say give it out for free. That was your choice?
That's my choice. I could have sold it. I could have made money off of it by selling it, or give it away for free. But my belief in value is that it's not about per se the money, especially early in the stages. It's about relationship building and network, right? If I can show them that I'm taking their brand and introducing their brand to fans, right? Customers that are open to new artists and new experiences, and giving them an avenue to showcase their product in front of Noisy Future customers. And in turn, what they're doing is they're supporting the underground culture, right? So yeah, they didn't give me money this time, or last time, my bad. But they gave me product, and that kind of opened the door, and that made me realize that if I nurture this relationship and I treat it right, and I continue to grow at the rate that I expect to grow at, they'll eventually see the value in putting money into me or giving me more product or whatever, right? And another thing to be grateful for, they may not have given me money, but they gave me value in the sense that when I talk to other sponsors, they're like, oh, Topo Chico's already working with them. Right?
Get that reputation.
There's already trust from Topo Chico. Isn't per se a small company. They're getting well known nowadays, and I personally think that I've heard a lot of people say when they're drinking Topo Chico at the event, they're like, oh, this is my favorite sparkling mineral water.
Oh, really?
That's my favorite water to drink. So I was like, oh, that's dope. But now when I'm starting to do the next plan and creating more revenue so I can actually start making a profit and start paying artists more like I want to. I want to pay artists more. I want to pay everybody that's involved more. I don't think I've been doing enough. I'm going home with the least. Let me remind you about that real quick. I'm taking the least amount of money when it comes to my shows. I'm actually giving it away the best I can and divvying it up where I think is fair and what people want for the night. But I know that eventually I will be making more.
Yeah.
If I make more, I'm the kind of person that's like, all right, I can finally start paying my people more, because once again, all the values and relationships and the network. So if you take care of the people around you. In turn, they'll take care of you, and you all grow together. So I have conversations coming up with other sponsors now. I won't name drop just yet. I'll wait till they give me a yes.
Okay,
and
bet.
start moving. But yeah, the next few months coming up to Noisy Future 4, I figured out all the other pieces to get people there, to do everything right in regards to putting on a show. Now it's kind of trying to figure out how to make it bloom, and my answer to that is getting sponsorship from local brands, because I'm an independent, I'm growing underground culture, right? And something that I noticed recently is Atlanta has a lot of new breweries, right? A lot of independent breweries, independent businesses. So I'm gonna start approaching them and giving them, you know, the pitch of what Noisy Future is hey, I get people together that support underground culture, and I was wondering if you're interested in sponsoring, and in exchange, I give brand awareness from local people in Atlanta to your brand.
I think it's like perfect because the people that are coming to your events are all about like supporting the locals,
right?
The people that are low key. So it's like a win-win.
Right, and that's really where I think my keys to success are in these next few stages. And I'm really gonna push that whole independent culture and see how far I can get it.
Well, I'm excited for you. I feel like big things are about to come. Like the ball is like getting starting to roll.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to ask is are you trying to do Noisy Future like once a month, or are you trying to like up the?
People ask me that all the time, right? Right now, Noisy Future is running strictly from my pockets, my budget, right?
Okay.
And the reason the Noisy Future schedule right now is once every 3 months, once a quarter.
Okay.
So right, there's 4 quarters in a year, so I'll do at least 4 a year, and that's what I can handle currently, right? Because I'm an artist, that's one thing, and then I run Noisy Future, and then I gotta go to work in the morning so I can make money to support myself as an artist at Noisy Future, right? So in between all those things, personally, I can't handle it right now.
Okay.
But things will change, right? As that starts to grow and Noisy Future starts becoming more of my livelihood, and I can start putting more focus there, or I find team members that, you know, I trust that can help me take some of the pressure off my shoulders. I'll continue putting my money into it because I believe in it. Like, I don't really care to per se get more investors, but if they come along, cool. Like, I appreciate the help, but Noisy Future is kind of my baby, and I want to make sure that it's not taken over by greed.
By like trying to make a buck, it's more like you,
Right.
you don't want to.
I don't want investors to come in that are just here for the buck.
Okay.
Noisy Future, it was created by an independent artist. My whole team is independent artists, and that's kind of how I want to keep it. I don't want to sell out just because I'm trying to make a quick buck. I really want to nurture the fact that I created this platform to put on independent artists, not because the big boys want to put them on, because, you know, we see that they have faith and they're consistent in their work and they're making great music and they're taking all the right steps to try and elevate. I want to continue supporting those people, not the ones that the investors want to put on. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I can figure out how to explain that better as I move forward and make a Noisy grow, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yep. And like I said, there's a lot that it takes to make everything work in regards to making an artist and that brand grow, and then making a platform brand grow. And I do find myself like really spread thin, but I understand that I have to do it, at least by, you know, I have to prove that it's real, that it can actually make revenue for everybody that's involved.
It can be done.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to prove that while also not selling out. So I'm playing a very like a balancing game at this point.
Yeah, I feel like that's tough because I can relate to you when like you said you spread yourself out thin, because like I myself have like multiple ambitions that
right,
and it's hard to like I always hear this piece of advice. It's like you want to grow tall and then grow wide. Like people say like millionaires have like 7 sources of income, but they didn't start with like trying to start like 7 different companies or whatever. They just got really good at one thing. They got that like cash flow, or like after they hit like a certain point, they're like, okay, now I have the luxury of like like starting to do like I don't know like drop shipping or whatever,
Yeah.
like doing these other things. So I relate to you when you say it's tough, like when you're trying to like focus on being an artist and also like running Noisy Future and then like you also have like another job.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things to juggle, but I respect the hustle, you know.
It's required though. If you want to be successful, it's required, and I don't always think about it in regards to like money again. I think about it in the form of knowledge and skills, right? Remember how I talked about earlier, go from distributing to marketing to putting on live shows. Those are all different skill sets, but they're all aimed and used for one goal. You kind of get it? Like there's about 3 streams of revenue flow there, right? But they're all on the same mission.
To grow you as an artist, or
yeah, to figure out how to take an independent artist and blow them.
where they can start living off of making music.
Right.
That's the like end goal.
Right.
Okay.
But it takes so many skills to get to that one end goal.
And like,
right?
but you could go even deeper. Like just being an artist. Like I
I
feel
can
like
talk all
yeah,
day about
exactly.
it. There's so much about it. Right? That's
like,
that's the thing about it. And I'm a big believer in walk the walk because no one cares about the talk, right? I could sit here and tell you how I do everything. I could show you all the keys to the game, right? And all the steps you have to take. But it will never make sense to you and you'll never understand it until you do it, right? So I know growing forward, there are people that need Noisy Future as a platform to support them because I don't want to say they're incapable of learning all the skills, but maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to be that person. Maybe they don't want my job, right? Because it is stressful, right? So there are some artists out there that just want the Noisy platform to support them, and that's why I say Noisy Future is on its way to being a label. That was always the goal for me from the very beginning, to make a label. I just had to figure out all the pieces that it takes to run a successful label. But there will always be people that I work with that see me and they're so intelligent and so analytical that they're like, oh, I don't need Jantu or Noisy Future to put me on because I see exactly what he's doing and I could do it myself. And you know what? I'm proud of that. I'm proud that people can look towards my work and be like, yo, he showed me that I can do it, so I'm just gonna go do it on my own. Kudos to you, bro. I'm never gonna be mad at anyone for doing it themselves, right? So.
But I don't think like you said, what you're doing is not easy. Like it's definitely a feat
from the outside, it can look easy because from the outside it looks like fun. It looks like artists putting on a show, hanging out with their friends and their fans and having a blast. But they don't see the months of preparation. They don't see all the conversations that I have to have with the different resources in regards to technical and like sponsorship and all these people, having the money conversations, having the hard conversations about saying no to some artists because, I just don't think you're ready. And I hate feeling that way and I hate saying it like that, but that's kind of, there's a lot of pains to the job that people don't see, like showing up at 12 a.m. and not getting home till showing up at 12 p.m. and not getting home till 5 a.m. Right? That was my last Noisy for me. I showed up, I was there before the speakers show up, because we showed Noisy shows are thrown in like intimate art spaces, right?
Oh, it's not always at that.
No.
Oh, really?
I'm a sound freak, right? I'm an artist and I love music, so sound has to be like
good.
I'm an audiophile, right?
Okay.
So no, those speakers that you see at Noisy Future aren't there. That's a art studio. All that art in there is for sale. That's Mike Stasny's art studio in Underground.
I was talking to him.
Yeah. What I do is I take independent artists and I throw shows inside of art studios. Right? I think that's cool because in between sets you have things to look at, things to interact with, things to keep your mind like engaged.
People aren't just standing there.
Right, because you're standing around and you could be staring at a piece of art while, the next band is getting ready in between sets, things like that. That's why I kind of went in that route. And I don't think anyone else is per se doing it like that properly yet. That's kind of my niche.
Okay.
That's what draws a lot of people to coming to those shows because it's more than just a music show. It's an art show. It's an experience.
Yeah, I can see like those places starting to hit you up like, hey, you want to come play at my venue?
That's the goal. That's the goal. Once I figure out how to make Mike Stasny money, the venue owner, get people to start buying more of his art. Because I only just started, shouting out to people, hey, did you know the art's for sale? I realized that's something I learned along the way. It's like, there has to be an MC there. I hate MCing, but I MC the Noisy Future shows. I think I told you that while you were there at the show. But I realized there has to be an MC that like guides the crowd and lets everybody know what's happening, what artist is coming up. Ask if they love the artist, and then remind them that you are in an art studio, that everything you see around you is for, you can take home. You can take it off the wall and take it home if you wanted to.
Dude, that reminds me, like when I was there, like I was just like listening to music, and then this girl like kind of like squeezed my, she's like, excuse me. She just picks up this painting off the wall, and this is before like I knew like the art was for sale, and she's just like, I bought this, and she just walks away, and I was like, what?
Right?
What is going on?
That's a part of the Noisy Future experience. I'm not just putting on musical artists. I'm literally talking about independent artists in the sense of the artist community. I don't care if you make music. I don't care if you make visual art. I don't care if you brew a beer. Someone that brews a beer is still an artist at the end of the day in my head, right? Those sponsors that I'm going after is because I believe that they are independent artists, right?
Damn, bro.
It gets deep.
Yeah, no, it's a movement.
It's all coming out of my head and out of my mouth now, but it's I haven't found all the words to describe the full mission just yet.
Okay.
But again, in the high level, Noisy Future is a platform for independent artists of all disciplines and genres. Right?
Okay, that's like
it's a big melting pot. It's a big melting pot.
Yeah. I feel like, dude, like the more we're talking about it, the more cooler I see it. Like, cause now I'm imagining like it's not just music. It's like it's the visual arts. Now, like I don't know if you consider, but like you have like maybe like chefs that are like trying to start their food. Yeah. I personally see it as like food.
Right. If you know food vendors, let me know. Like the next one, I've been kind of reluctant to take on a food vendor because I told you I'm doing all this managing it by myself, right? And it kind of gets hard to like manage the vendor, manage the sound engineers, manage the artists all in one night. But I'm getting comfortable and the team's getting better at what they do, where I don't have to be so like everywhere.
Like you have the trust. Okay.
Yeah, they're understanding their jobs better and what is required of them to make the game work.
Okay.
So I'm starting to be like, all right, now I can start having conversations with food vendors, like, and that's another revenue stream when it comes to live show. The way that vendors usually work at shows or events or festivals is they pay for the spot, right? Okay. And then they make money by selling their food, right? What I would do is go to a food vendor and be like, hey, I have my last Noisy Future show had 200 people there. And then I would tell them there's a pizza spot right outside that gets all our business. But if you want to be the food vendor, you could claim a lot of that. I'm a big believer of, I don't want to charge them for a spot at Noisy Future. I would like to break up. I do commission-wise a lot of things. Like artists, when you see them at the show, every artist has like a unique code, including Mike Stanzi, including everyone that's involved, including the sound engineer, including the janitor. Everybody gets their own code.
What do you mean?
And it'll be like, say you were an artist, the code would be Noisy Justin. Okay. And when you buy a ticket from Noisy Future, it's $20, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's $20. But when someone uses Noisy Justin to buy a ticket, two things happen. The fan gets $5 off, so it saves them $5, right? That's their incentive to use the code. Now the other thing I do on top of that is I give another $5 to the artist. Okay. So when an artist brings their fans to a Noisy Future show, they're making 25% of the ticket revenue.
Or like, it's like more than 20 because they already get the $5 off with
the customer gets $5 off. The fan gets $5 off. If I were your fan, I would get $5 off instead of paying 20. I pay 15, and then after that, another $5 goes to
the artist.
Yeah, would go to the artist, and then what's left? $10. Out of that $10, I get.
You gotta make everything work.
Yeah, I gotta make everything work with that $10, including renting the sound equipment, venue, paying the artist if they, because some artists that are more notable, and I book them to bring their crowds, so I can introduce their crowds to new independent artists. And they've been in the game and they're solid and they ask for a booking fee, I'll have a conversation with them. I'll be like, hey, this is how my game works right now, this is my budget, and if you can work with me, we can have like a booking fee, and then you make that 25% on top of that. I gotta do what I gotta do to make sure that everybody's happy and getting paid and feels valued, right? Because I never wanna make anyone feel undervalued. There's artists that I really wanna put on, but they're so like solid in their game already, it's like I can't afford them yet. But I'm working towards it. That's why I need the sponsors.
Okay.
I need sponsors to provide some money so I can start booking bigger artists. The like long-term vision is I want to keep booking independent artists for sure, but I want to start booking like the local notable
next
artists,
level.
right?
Okay.
So I could take their big fan base and expose them to the independent artists.
Like have them as like I forget the term, but like you know at like festivals they have like the headliners.
The headliners.
And then you all have like a small
Right.
Okay.
And Noisy Future, like we keep talking about, we get deeper and deeper.
No, I'm fucking about it. Keep going.
So right now I have Mike Stainsy. I'm throwing these shows in art studios in Atlanta, right? And I'm starting to pick up traction. People know what Noisy Future is now. I don't care if they know Jantu or not. I'm really focused on them knowing Noisy Future. And my next move is moving up to New York.
Like moving Noisy Future to New York or having
Atlanta, establish Atlanta over 2023, and in 2024, I've already worked with artists from New York and New Jersey, right? They're aware of me, they're aware of what I'm capable of, and I put in their ears, I'm like, hey man, now that you've came to Atlanta and you checked out Noisy Future and the vibe, when you go back to New York, do you know anyone that runs an art studio that would be interested in throwing a show like this out there? That's what I'm heading into.
I'm getting so hyped.
Right.
That sounds so
Dude, this is, I hold this in all the time. This is what my brain is like constant. Everything in my life leads to doing this thing.
But like, oh my god, like it's so inspirational because like you're like what you're thinking is like you're like making happen, if that makes sense to you. Or yeah.
Someone, and I know that it sounds like I'm thinking light years ahead, right? And I have to, in regards to the plans that I have and what I want to execute. My friend told me one day, my original plan before I started throwing Noisy Future in other people's art studios was to buy my own venue, right? And then create that and then start putting the shows on there so I could cut that middleman out, in a sense. But my buddy, who's also an artist and also is like one of my confidants in this game, he's the drummer for NRA Islands, his name's Andy. He told me, man, if you're always so determined to get to that end goal that's so far away, you'll slow yourself down because you're not taking the little steps that are required to get to that point and be able to run that properly. It goes back to the whole conversation of knowing, having all those different skills that you need to run it properly. That's when I took a step back and I realized, I don't have to be putting all that pressure on myself to get to that big end goal, and just lose the passion and the feeling that things are moving, that things are being accomplished. So, as I'm thinking about solidifying Noisy Future here over 2023, moving into New York in 2024, the big end goal is the Noisy Future Festival.
Bro.
Right.
Bro.
And the festival is going to be where we have big headliners, and then every opener is like independent artists from all over the nation, like people I've met in Atlanta, people I've met in New York. Eventually after New York, I want to move to the West Coast and then, hit all the big cities, Miami eventually, and then we move into the conversation of, are we ready for a festival? I started hitting up everyone in the network that's worked with me, like, hey, I think we're ready to step the game up, next level, right? And then move from there. But it gets deep, man. I don't know. I'm hoping to accomplish like the ultimate form, Super Saiyan friggin' by ultimate form in the next 5 years, man.
Ooh.
That's the mission. I have my foot on the gas. I am doing everything I can to stay focused. I'm doing my best to keep faith, and it's all working out, man. I see it happening.
No, I see it too.
There's
Like,
nothing in the way in regards to like.
Cause I've never heard this.
I mean, you have, but I don't think anyone's really like sat down and
like broke it down for.
Because everyone starts at the grassroots. You know who? You know Imagine Music Festival?
I know Imagine.
Right. I used to go to. Do you know what is it called? It used to be in Rush Lounge. They're in Believe now, but Iris.
Oh yeah.
The founders of Iris are the ones that throw Imagine Music Fest.
Oh word.
Word.
I thought.
I'm 30 now. I just turned 30 a few months ago in November. But when I was in my early 20s, you know, doing my party shit, like I wasn't really focused on doing what I'm doing now. I was just out having fun, checking out the scenes. I used to go to Iris at Rush Music Lounge, right? But when people go to Imagine Music Festival now and they see that festival, they don't realize that it started over 10 years ago at this rinky-dink venue out in, I think, Beaufort Highway, right? That's where it all started. It was like the small, you know who ATLians is?
I know ATLians.
I was watching ATLians over 10 years ago at Iris Music Hall when they were just putting them on. I'm not the first to do it. I've realized that it's doable by watching all these people that have done it and that care more about like the business than just being an artist, right? So. And
do you really like expanded my mind on like this whole like business side of it? Because I thought we were just gonna be talking about like making music and like how to, but like you're like completely changing my perspective on like how.
Because it takes more to being an independent artist than just the music.
Yeah.
And I realized that like 3 years ago. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna make a living and live my dream just by putting out music. There's more to it.
More skills I have to learn.
Right. And unless I wanna, you can either let life choose where you end up or you choose where you end up, right? When I say you let life choose where you end up, that's when an artist just makes music and doesn't do all those other steps.
And hopes they blow up.
Hopes that someone will come along and manage them or a label will come along and sign them. No man, you gotta, if you're really about it, just go get it. You just gotta go get it. That's how I feel about that. And that's what I look for in people when I interact with them is like, are you
about
fired up? Right? That's why I connected with you. I see that you're in the grassroots of your thing, of this podcast, and you know, I'm your 6th or 7th episode. That doesn't make me feel like, oh, this guy's not there, he's not valuable enough. No, I think you're actually the more valuable piece, especially to me, because you're starting out, I'm starting out. Remember when I said you gotta play in your level? You're in my level, and now I wanna connect and go up with you. That's the point, because if I talk to somebody else, I can't walk up to Drake and be like, yo Drake, put me on! No, I'm not there yet. I gotta humble myself and remind myself that I'm definitely not on level 1 anymore. I can't shade myself like that, but I'm only on level 3. And to get to level 4, I gotta find the right pieces, and work together and move up.
Okay.
Right. If I have to be the glue that holds it together, that's what I'll do. That's my job. Is gluing all these pieces together. Because I'm not the best. I'm a jack of many, master of none, almost. There's some things I'm really good at, but I find the people that are good at what they do and let them do their thing, right? Because I can't do everything.
I think that's like, I want to say like kind of humbling, because like I think when you're like the owner and creator, you kind of want to keep it to your vision and you want like your finger in all of these like different pies, but I think it's like that faith, like of building that team.
Right, no, it's definitely you gotta learn to let go in some areas. You gotta learn to trust people and let them help you, right? And all you have to be there to do is support them back. They support you, you support them, it all works out. Yeah.
So like, okay, like this is my last question about Noisy Future.
Yeah.
For anyone that's listening in, like, can they just like apply to be a part of the lineup, or how does that kind of work?
I haven't figured that out. I have people, like I said, I've done my 3rd one now, and I'm moving into my 4th, and I'm getting like people left and right. Like, I want to say yes to everybody, and that goes back again to that other conversation of how often am I running Noisy Future. Right now I'm doing once every 3 months. I don't know if I wanted to make a once every month or a once every week thing, because it takes away, in my opinion, it takes away from that special feeling. Like, this only happens so often. Like, you show up because, you know, it's only happening once every 3 months. That's what makes it cool. It's not every week. It's not like you have an opportunity to go every week. It's a very small venue, and I keep the venue small on purpose because I want it to be intimate. I want the artists and the fans to have intimate connections, be close to each other, be able to, like, you talked to me after I got off stage. I didn't run out the back door and leave.
I'm saying,
right? I stayed, I had conversations with all the fans, all the new fans, and created genuine connections with people.
And
that's what's gonna make them remember me in my city. That's how I'm gonna blow up in Atlanta. Dude, I have people listening to my music in all the continents, in Asia, Europe, here, South America. I have fans everywhere when it comes to music. But I haven't been able to figure out how to blow up in my own city. My own city isn't supporting me just yet.
Yeah, not yet.
But that's where Noisy Future, again, another dot connected, that's what Noisy Future is doing for me. It's creating those genuine connections with my local, you know, community. So.
When you create, like when you what's it called, put on these Noisy Future events, are you trying to stick to like a theme of like the music style, or are you like any type of artist is welcome?
You went to the last Noisy, you saw that there was rock and roll, there was hip hop, and then it moved into electronic. What I usually like to do is I pick artists and then I curate the sound throughout the night. I usually start with like the hip hop acts, then we transition into rock and roll, and then we transition into electronic, and it kind of follows that. But no, I'm having to curate the sound, like figuring out the logical, like how would it best work out through the night,
like get lit and then kind of like mellow down.
Right. Okay. And then the thing about a Noisy Future crowd is we sold 200 tickets to the last event, right? Over 200. But there wasn't 200 people in the venue at one time just yet. You noticed that, right? It was never like, what happens is people come in for the rock portion and then they leave, where some people come in for the hip hop portion and then they leave, and so on and so forth. But, you know, as I move forward, I think that culture will kind of start to change, and we'll start to keep people together more and there throughout the night more. But that begs the question of, maybe it's because of how I'm lining up the artists in regards to their set list and time. So that's another learning experience. Maybe that's what's causing it, but I notice it. I notice it by looking at the analytics and numbers of how people are coming in and out the door. So that's something I'm having to figure out. Like, how do I line up the artists so people stay there longer than just that 1 hour?
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, go for it.
So I know you want to keep Noisy Future like kind of special. You don't want to increase the frequency, but like what I'm thinking is, what if you have like different types of Noisy Future? You have like the EDM, you have like the hip hop, so that when fans come, they know, okay, when I come to this event, it's just gonna be straight hip hop. Everyone there loves hip hop. It's gonna be like a hip hop community.
Right. So I am involved in other shows. This Friday. The Feb 3rd show that I'm doing with Tony Snow, Soda Money Yiddy, Don Lennox, that's a hip hop night, right? But Soda Money, their label and brand from Canada, is throwing that show. I kind of kept Noisy Future's name off of that show because, yes, I do want to throw events and that are just hip hop, that are just EDM, and I'll help anyone that's, you know, trying to do that. I'll help them get all the pieces together. But with Noisy, I really want to keep it like all inclusive, like, because I do want to push the culture of mixing genres. Remember, you're asking me as an artist. As an artist, I'm not in the hip hop box. I'm not in the rock and roll box solely. I'm like in all of them. And I realized that a lot of my fans are very similar to me in that fact that they like a large breadth of music, right? Because even me, sometimes when I go to listen to a new album and it's just a strict hip hop album, I get tired of it halfway through. It gets boring. So I want to keep that kind of like freshness, like, oh, you just went through EDM, now you're gonna go into rock and roll. Like, but you know what? I'm saying that now, but my vision can change. You know, everything's organic.
Yeah.
Everything everything changes based on my experiences as I'm moving, or the company's experience as it's moving, and you know, listening to folks like you that show up to the show and like, hey, maybe you should do an all lady at night. I have to keep that mental note. So yeah, you never know, it might change.
So I think we've been talking for a minute. It's been I want to say over an hour. I'm not too sure.
I wonder if it's still recording.
That's actually gonna break my heart. But like this is the way I always end my podcast. Is I always ask my guests if there's like just and you dropped a lot of game today. Specifically tailored to music, but just in life, there's one piece of advice you would tell your younger self. It could be like your 20s, like when you're in high school.
I said it earlier, and I'm gonna reiterate it.
Alright, yeah, go ahead.
You can either let life choose your destiny for you, or you choose your own destiny.
Okay.
And that's the best way I can put that.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think like this podcast in itself is like it was always an idea, but I think that decision to like what am I waiting for?
Right.
Someone to like make the podcast for me, like take action and like.
I'm gonna show this to my fiance, cause she's like, man, I want to start doing podcasts.
Oh really?
She watches other women that are doing podcasts. I'm like, she doesn't per se have a specific like, this is what my podcast is gonna be about yet, but she wants to start doing it. And I give her that exact advice. I'm like, just start. No one's gonna be watching you on day one. Maybe you'll have 2 people watching you on day 20, but eventually, if you keep at it and that consistency keeps going, you start realizing what your dream is.
And you learn more.
You start solidifying.
Exactly, yes.
You start learning more about yourself.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah. So don't let life choose your destiny for you. Choose yours. Start somewhere, even if you don't know exactly what it is. Like mine has always been music, and it landed me here. Look how far it's taken me. I just trusted myself to allow myself to choose and follow with commitment, with faith. It's working out.
Last thing I want to say is, it's like the same message. It's like I think people focus on the end goal instead of focusing on the next step.
Everything it takes to get there.
One at a time.
Right.
But dude, I really fucking enjoyed this podcast.
Episode 7 is gonna be one for the books of history.
I'm saying,
10 years from
look
now,
back
we're
on
gonna
this,
look back and
bro.
be like, yo, Justin, remember when we were here talking about the festival? And now we're about to go through it. Watch it. In 10 years, I'm gonna have that conversation. We're gonna be back here doing another podcast.
No, I see it, bro. But yeah, it was a pleasure, man. Definitely have you back on. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Back on.